Welcome to Ready to Exhale, where we center Black women, their lived experiences, expertise, and rich stories. In each episode, we will gain a deeper understanding of what it takes to hold space for our own well-being. This is a brave space where you will be inspired to express your joy and live in the fullness of who you are. It's also a place where we are no longer waiting to exhale. So now, get ready to exhale and enjoy the show. So for today's episode, it's just me, Katara, with you. And I wanted to take some time to create some space for us to reflect together on the importance of prioritizing our mental health and well-being as Black women, especially right now with everything that's going on in our world. But before we begin today's conversation, I want to invite you to ground yourself with me. So, wherever you are, give yourself permission to pause. If it feels comfortable, gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. Now, if you're driving, don't close your eyes, all right? But if you're somewhere where you can just kind of settle into where you are and soften your gaze, let your body find a position that feels steady. Maybe your feet are resting on the floor, shoulders relaxed, hands resting easily in your lap. And take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and exhale fully through your mouth. Again, inhale deep, filling your belly and chest. And exhale with a long sigh. One more time, inhale slowly and release. Now, you can return to your normal breathing pattern. And as you're breathing normally, imagine roots extending from the soles of your feet deep into the earth. Engaging our imagination here. And with each breath in, you're drawing up the strength, the steadiness, and support that you need. And with each breath out, you are releasing tension, stress, or anything you don't need to carry right now. Now, as you're breathing, let's add words to our breath. On the inhale, I am present. And exhale, I am grounded. Inhale, I am present. And exhale, I am grounded. Another inhale, I am present. And exhale, I am grounded. Again, imagining roots extending from the soles of your feet deep into the earth, grounding you. Drawing up strength, steadiness, and support. And just stay with the rhythm of your breath for a few more rounds. Just grounding ourselves here. Grounding ourselves in the time that we're going to spend together in this podcast episode. And now slowly bring your awareness back to your body and wiggle your fingers, your toes, and roll your shoulders. And take one last deep cleansing breath. And when you're ready, if your eyes were closed, you can gently open them. You are here. You are grounded. And you are ready to exhale. So, like I said, today it's just me with you for this episode. And I wanted to create some space again for us to reflect together on the importance of prioritizing our mental health and well-being as Black women. There's so much going on in our world. Seems like every day something is hitting the news or our news feeds through our social media platforms that is jostling. And I don't know about you, but it is creating for me stress levels that I don't want to carry. So because of this truth, the world is heavy. And yet, even in heaviness, there is such an importance to rooting ourselves, to caring for ourselves, and to caring for each other. We are living through a time of upheaval. There is no doubt about that. The economy, our political landscape, systemic inequities, they're all colliding in ways that deeply impact Black women and are creating harm. Yes, let's be clear. They are creating harm. And many of us are feeling the impact deeply. I don't know if you all know this, but Exhale released a report called The State of Self-Care for Black Women. And through this report, we learned that 77% of Black women said that there is a need for more mental health resources that are culturally relevant, culturally grounded, and culturally sensitive. We launched this report and attempted to collect this data to inform us on how we built the next version of Exhale app. And so we initially reached out to do this report and to collect data to inform us. It was market research. But we quickly understood and came to understand that this was a full report. Actually, the first of its kind report. No one had really centered Black women's voices around our mental health and emotional well-being. And so we have so much data. It's on our website if you want to download the report and read it more thoroughly. But this data really informed us, and it really caught the attention of some media outlets like Essence magazine, who used some of our data, and folks that were collecting data for all kinds of reasons. But we're really proud of the survey, and we want to continue to listen to Black women because this is our reality. 77% of us need and want mental health resources that are culturally relevant, that speak to our needs. That number is striking, but honestly not surprising. And too often, the spaces we turn to for support don't reflect our lived experiences. And I don't know about you, but I've been in plenty of so-called wellness places where my experience as a Black woman was ignored, and these spaces also became harmful for me. We are not considered in wellness spaces, and when we are not considered, there is potential harm, many times harm. I also want to highlight the Highland Project's poll of Black women voters that they did this spring. This poll revealed something equally important. 45% said their mental health has worsened in 2025. And when asked why, they pointed to the state of our country and the cost of living as top reasons. On top of this data point, over 300,000 Black women have lost their jobs this year. I know many of you have heard about this, and it's a staggering number. And with unemployment rates for us rising higher than other demographics, it causes a level of stress and anxiety that we haven't seen in a long time. Now, these aren't just numbers and they aren't abstract. They're lived in our reality, right? They're our lived reality. These are our lives. They're our sisters' lives, our mothers, our aunts, our friends, and us. And all of this data points and paints a picture that we already know in our bodies and in our souls. Systems are designed to stretch us thin, to take from us without giving back to us, to weather our mental health, deplete us mentally, emotionally, and physically. These systems are doing what they were designed to do, and that is to harm Black people and especially harm Black women. We have inherited systems designed to weather us, and yet we are still here. We are still showing up for ourselves. We are still showing up for our families and for our communities. We are brilliant. We are smart. We are resilient. But I want to ask a question for those that are tuning in today and listening. What would it look like if our resistance was to prioritize us, prioritizing ourselves and one another? Now, I know this goes against what we've been conditioned to believe about ourselves, what we've been conditioned to do, and how we show up in the world. We usually put ourselves last, right? We usually prioritize everybody else and everything before ourselves. That's what we've been conditioned to do. To spend our energy on everyone and everything else except ourselves. But what would it look like if we joined together in saying, my mental health, my joy, my well-being are not optional, they are essential, and I am going to prioritize me? What would that look like? It's kind of like the metaphor of what the flight attendants tell us to do on a plane. Put the oxygen mask on ourselves first before you help anybody else. What would it look like to take that as a metaphor and apply it in our everyday lives? To prioritize us first, right? To take care of ourselves first. To focus on us. I know that's hard to imagine, and it's hard to even recondition ourselves to unlearn and relearn the idea of prioritizing us. I know that's hard to do, but my whole mission and my whole message is to call us into that, to prioritizing ourselves, our mental health, our physical health, our emotional well-being, our overall well-being, putting ourselves first, and to focus on collective strength, legacy, thriving despite systems built against us. This framework has been built by our ancestors. It's there. They survived by moving collectively in community. So when I talk about prioritizing ourselves, we don't do that in isolation. We prioritize ourselves, but we do it while in community with the collective. So as I'm prioritizing myself, my sister is prioritizing herself. We're doing it together. This is the whole reason why I created Exhale. It's not just an app with breathwork techniques and guided journeys, meditations, daily affirmations, calming sounds, all the goodies that are in the app. It's more than the app, though. It's a movement, a community of Black women resisting together by caring for ourselves and one another. Because these systems, y'all, these systems out here, they're not going to prioritize us. They are not going to prioritize us. And we cannot sit around and wait for it to happen, because it's not going to happen. We must prioritize us. And that's what Exhale is all about. So I want to root us right here. Take a moment and root us here in a quote from Audre Lorde. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. I'm going to repeat that again because it is too good to just keep going. We got to let that quote marinate. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. When we care for ourselves, we have to resist what comes up in our minds, what comes up in our hearts saying we're being selfish when we do it. Because the truth is, self-preservation is an act of political warfare. That's how we fight back, is by caring for ourselves. And it goes beyond a manicure and a pedicure, a little mani-pedi, right? Although I love me a mani and pedi, and that is caring for myself, right? There's so much more to caring for myself. It's saying yes to me. It's saying no to other things and other people. It is engaging actively in my mental health and well-being daily. It is reaching out to a therapist and finding a therapist to unpack some stuff, right? It's so much more. And my hope is that as Black women, we begin to expand what self-care looks like, redefine what self-care looks like, because the picture that we see when we look out into the world is centering whiteness, and that's harmful for us. So redefining what it looks like. And again, Exhale is here as a resource for us to practice mental health and emotional well-being every single day. Imagine if we all practiced small acts of care every day. Taking 3 deep breaths before a meeting, maybe journaling a few minutes before bed, saying no when we mean no and saying yes to joy. What if exhale became not just a resource on your phone, but a shared way of being? A reminder that you're not alone, that you are rooted, that we are rooted together. So there are resources in the app we like to call micro self-care ways to invest in you and your mental health. You can pop it open for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes to center and ground yourself. And as you pause, you are resisting. So I want to take a little bit of time in this episode to invite you to this movement. A movement of Black women saying we are going to prioritize us. How do you join the movement? Well, first of all, if you haven't downloaded Exhale, and yes, this is a commercial break, download Exhale app to commit to using the app every day. Again, even if it's only for 5 or 10 minutes. You can set your notifications to remind you to breathe, set your notifications to receive our daily affirmation and thought of the day. And 3, share it with your friends, your sisters, your mother, your daughters, your nieces. And let's create a collective refusal to be worn down by systems that weren't built for us. They were not built for our wellness. And let's build our own systems of care, ones that sustain us, that nourish us, and allow us to thrive. Many of you listening are part of building those systems of care, whether you're a therapist or a coach or a community organizer, activist, or an advocate. You are building those systems of care. We are building those systems of care. So every breath you take with intention, every time you choose rest over grind, every single pause, every deep breath, every exhale, every time you choose care for yourself, you are joining this resistance. Now, I want to close this episode or start wrapping up this episode by reading a poem that I wrote called We Root Ourselves Here. This is my love letter to us and a reminder of what we are building together. We root ourselves here. We root ourselves here in the soft, dark soil of our own making. Hands open, palms warm. We have carried each other's stories like seeds wrapped in cloth, tucked into the ground with care. We have learned to say yes to our breath and no to what drains us, to protect the flame without apologizing for its light. We have stood still enough to feel the earth hold us, to remember we are not separate from its turning, not separate from each other. We have made room for joy that is not borrowed, but grown wild and laughing from our own morrow. We have sung the old songs and invented new ones, fed ourselves with the taste of our ancestors' brilliance, our ancestors' dreams. And now, as we leave this circle, we do not leave each other. The roots we've grown are deep. They will find one another underground. They will keep pulling us toward the sun. And when the winds rise, our roots will drink the rain for us. When we are too tired to lift our heads, they will remind us of our wholeness, our worth, our belonging, and they will keep reaching for the light with us wherever we go. Thank you for exhaling and pausing with me today for my solo episode. This is actually my first solo episode for Ready to Exhale. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully I'll do a couple more of these. Let me know if you like these solo episodes. You can leave a comment for me. And remember, your mental health is not selfish. You prioritizing yourself is not selfish. It's not self-indulgence. It is survival. It is resistance. It is thriving, it is communal, and it is love. And until next time, my hope for you is that you will keep taking deep, long inhales and slow exhales. All right? Take care of yourself, and I will see you next time.
Exhale is a social movement prioritizing the overall well-being of Black women. You can join our movement by subscribing to this podcast and downloading Exhale app, and by continuing to prioritize yourself and your well-being. Keep taking deep inhales and long exhales. Until next time.